here with us, say hi. Alright, so hope you, yeah.
Hello everyone. So if you can see us, say hi, we can see you. And if you can hear us, so we're just going to wait for a while and allow other people to come up.
The 31 people, you think?
We can start already, okay. Okay, so we'll start already, and we'd like you to introduce yourself, Abby. That's it. Is that what it is? And say where you're connecting from, and say where you're connecting from.
I don't know.
Okay, that's it.
So let's know your name, let's know where you are.
Okay, if you're married or if you're single. It was your suggestion.
So, hello everybody, and thank you for coming on our live. We have Chen Foods, we have S.P.I.C.E.S. It's going to be hard to read the comment. S.P.I.C.E.S.
You can connect from your phone.
Okay. So hi guys, thank you. This is S.P.I.C.E.S. My name is Ejimi, and this is my wife. This is where you see it.
My name is Hope Ejimi.
And thank you for coming in. This is, I'm seeing Toby, Halima from Lagos. Hi Halima, Fidelis from Abuja, Rita from Calabar. Fantastic. So just say your name, say where you're listening from, and also say if you're married or single, if you want to disclose. So welcome to S.P.I.C.E.S. My wife will do the introduction and then we'll take it from there. All right.
Okay, so for the introduction, right? The Bible says, can two work together unless they agree? So we already know that for there to be a smooth working relationship in your marriage or in your relationship, then you must be united. So S.P.I.C.E.S is about knowing how to discern if you're compatible in your marriage or in your relationship that leads to marriage, and then helping you to understand how compatibility works in your marriage so you can direct or work towards becoming compatible with your spouse.
Fantastic stuff. So a lot of people you ask and they're like, oh, we need you to talk a little bit on marriage. It's not something we were really interested in doing, or because I'm more interested in being married than in teaching marriage. But my wife,
Your wife?
Yes, you.
Is
interested in us sharing our journey so far.
Okay.
And that's why she motivated me that we should share so people can learn. And it's going to be an amazing time, trust me. You're going to learn things that if you're married, you would wish you had known before you were married. If you're not married, you'll be happy you know it so you can apply it in your marriage. And all in all, we're going to build amazing relationships. We're going to build fulfilling and satisfying marriages, and we're going to have happy homes. So yes, I talk a lot. Talking comes easily to me, so
talking doesn't come easily to me. Doing comes easily to me.
But she's the one that said we should talk. That's why you say I believe here.
Technically, if you talk, I am talking. So because we are one.
Anyway, so yes, that's true. Now, why S.P.I.C.E.S? Why a conversation on why a conversation on love and on romance and on marriage? Well, it's pretty simple. Marriage is one of the most attacked institutions right now. We have people who are trying to paint marriage as this hell that people are tolerating. I want to change the narrative. The family institution is the base institution of society. If anything goes wrong with the family, everything goes wrong with society. So we really feel that need to ensure that people have a balanced approach and a balanced attitude to life and to marriage especially. All right, so some of you asked certain questions. We're going to quickly read through those questions. And I have some questions in my inbox. My wife has in her own inbox. Please invite friends, share, tag, let people know. This is going to change their life. So I'll maybe you go first.
Okay, so the first question is, I have been through rejection with people, not only in relationship, but also in friendships. It has affected me so much that I don't associate with people. What can I do to change this?
Okay, fantastic. Oh, someone asked if we're recording. Thank you for reminding us. We were supposed to record this so that people would get to
watch
later on. So
can you wait for me to?
No, I'll record from my end.
Okay,
I'll record from my end. All right. So your question, you're asking the questions.
Okay. I have been through rejection.
Continue.
Okay. Sorry. I've been through rejection with people, not only in relationship, but also in my friendships. Yes, it has affected me so much that I don't associate with people. What can I do to change this?
Okay, what's the second question?
Oh, I should ask all the questions.
I think so.
Is it right to think of marriage as a single mom? How do I relate with the people who approach me? Then the last question is, how do I go about conflict resolution, especially when you have two different opinions in a particular issue and you both think you are right?
Okay, someone is saying they can't see your face. I think they want to turn off the questions.
Do you want us to turn off the comments for now until we're done?
I think there's a way to hide it. Wait, I'll do it. There's a way to hide it. I don't know how to do it though. No, it won't go down.
So that's what I'm just going to turn off.
You can't turn, if you turn off commenting.
It's either we turn off the comments or we straighten the phone.
Okay, well, but if we turn off comments, how will we answer?
They must not see my face now.
Nah, so it's my face though now.
Oh yeah, should we swap? You should decide whose face do you want to see. If you want to see my face, then we would like swap seats. But if you want to see his face, he's going to do most of the talking. So
okay, so anyways,
like this. Can you see my face now?
All right, so very quickly, the first question she asked was she has faced a lot of rejection. What do you have to say about rejection?
They said they want to see my face.
They want to see your face.
Okay, so they say we should turn the phone instead. Now you're saying turn the phone.
Yeah, if we turn the phone,
we'll be like this. Like this. We tried it that way.
We tried it before. We squashed. Please, just continue. I think. Just continue. Please.
Okay, so the question on rejection, is going to be hard to accept. But if several people still come, if a lot of people keep rejecting you, the problem is not the people, the problem is you. So ask yourself, do I like myself as I am like this? If I was not me, will I be comfortable being friends with myself? You have to be very honest with yourself, because the truth is, every day you need to keep becoming the best version of you. If you're not becoming the best version of you, then why would people want to be around you? When people keep rejecting you, you have to ask yourself, what kind of energy am I projecting on people? Because I don't see, if you're a joy giver, most people will want to be around you. So maybe there's something you're projecting on people that gives them negative energy, so they can't stand you. You just have to be very honest with yourself and answer this question. Me, myself, do I love myself? Am I comfortable being with myself? Now, if you answer that question, and honestly, you need, not only by yourself, you need to ask your friends too. You need to ask people who genuinely love you. Why do you people keep rejecting me? You need to be real with yourself. And if the problem is not you, then what do you do?
Well, if the problem is not you, and you have to be very hard on yourself, and because the Bible says a friend must show himself friendly. If you're coming into a relationship just to get, people know when you are a taker, you're not a giver, so they'll avoid you. But the Bible says it's more blessed to give than to receive. So if you come into people's lives with the intention of giving, they will not run away. Someone once said that there's always room for gifts in a house. No matter how full a house is, if someone gives you a gift, you will not reject it. You will collect it and find space. So if you are a gift, people will not reject you. But if you are a gift and people are rejecting you, then it's the people around you, they are toxic. So you have to find a way of moving to people who already are givers like you. And that's very simple. Change your environment, change your circle. Look at the most loving people around you on people's birthdays. Who are people always celebrating? Maybe you should try to make friends with genuinely friendly people. And then, regardless of the outcome, don't gauge the quality of your life purely based on how people treat you, people's opinions. You can become a slave to opinion. Then the second question is about thinking of marriage as a single mom. We spoke about that, myself and my wife. If you're a single mom and you have plans to get married, if I were a single father and I wanted to get married, if my wife was a single mom and she wanted to get married, the first thing we would do, or the first thing I would do, is look for single fathers who got married. At least 5 of them. And I will become close to them. The Bible says, he that walks with the wise will be wise. Companion of fools will be destroyed. So find people who are living in the reality you desire and find a way of becoming friends with them, becoming mentees to them, and then ask them genuinely for help. Try to find at least 5 people. If you find one, their advice may not be flexible enough. But if you find 5 single moms to mentor or guide you or to become their friend, you learn something about how to get a husband, even as a single mom. So
before we answer the last question from me, somebody said, what if the problem is a spiritual problem? Like, people are rejecting because it's a spiritual problem. Okay, the truth is, spiritual issues partner with your mindset to manifest physically. Like, your mindset will always enforce a spiritual issue. So you see somebody who does not laugh, like he's always strong in his face, like people will crack a joke, you don't laugh. You're not a giver, your character is nothing to write home about. Then you come and say it's a spiritual attack on you. That's why people are rejecting you. You have to first be open and be a loving person. If you've not changed that, it's the demons, the village people, they will finish you because you've already partnered and given them a legal ground to do whatever they want to do.
This is so important. People don't realize that spirits require strongholds. If a spirit wants to get permanent access to my life, it will begin to manipulate circumstances around me to create situations that make me react like the spirit. So if the spirit of rage, for instance, wants to gain access into my life, right, to oppress or possess me, it will start creating circumstances that will make me angry. So maybe on the road, someone will jam my car. Or so after a while, when those manipulations keep coming and I respond in anger, what happens is there is a consistency threshold. If I respond in anger once or twice, this really can't jump on me. But what happens is, if they keep manipulating those circumstances and I keep displaying those qualities of anger, a day will come when I will hit the threshold necessary and legally authorizable for the spirit to come in. And at that point, then it becomes a spiritual issue. So let us address strongholds, because even if it's a spiritual issue and they cast out the devil from you, right? And you still have that stronghold, that mindset, that mental framework, the spirit will stroll back in with more spirits. All right? Don't be spiritually lazy.
Some of the things that we are saying is spirit, is not spirit.
It's stronghold.
It's your mind.
It's a stronghold. All right? If this is helpful, please say it's helpful. All right? Then the last question.
How do I go about conflict resolution, especially when you have two different opinions on a particular issue and you both think you are right?
Well, that's like the core of what we want to discuss today. You know, we've not started discussing spices. Yeah, this is my spicy. We've not started discussing spices. So now we're going to go into the meat of the day, which is spices. Sit down, get a book. It's going to change your life. All right? Are we going for a commercial break? Welcome back.
And then, okay, so, you know, because we already have had questions on ground, the questions you're asking today will be answered in the next session. So we'll take note of the questions.
All right, fantastic. So, the Bible says, don't worry, I know some of you are not believers. We just use the Bible as our own frame of reference. But it's common sense, apart from it being biblical, that can two walk together except they be in agreement? If my wife and I are tied together with ropes and my wife wants to go to the left and I want to go to the right, it will be chaos. So we can only make progress when we are in agreement. And that's what the Bible says. Can two walk together except they be agreed? The Bible also says that we should not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. Now, this is a scripture that people have beaten. 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 14. And they usually talk about the unbelievers. But do you know that scripture is not really talking about unbelievers? The scripture is talking more about unequal yokes, fellowship, and communion. It says, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. What fellowship has light with darkness? What communion? So that scripture is more about the yoke. What's a yoke? When you go to the farm, village setting, and they want to plow the ground, they put a yoke on the neck of one cow and they put it on the neck of another cow so they can till the ground. So they are expected, both cows, to be the same height and same stature. If you put a yoke on a big cow and yoke it to a small cow, both of them are going to injure themselves. So what they were talking about is, for the sake of the assignment, ensure that both parties have similar stature. That's what that verse is about. It's about fellowship, it's about communion. So what do we mean by spices? Spices are the ingredients necessary for gauging compatibility, communion, equal yoking, right? And it's important we know this. You know why? The Bible says in Proverbs 24 verse 3 that through wisdom and by understanding it is established. One of the most important factors for a happy home is understanding, knowledge. So you see, when people say I'm old enough to marry, I don't think people should be saying I'm old enough to marry. What should they be saying? I am knowledgeable enough. I am wise enough to be married. They just use age because they think experience comes with age. It is knowledge, wisdom that guarantees productive relationships. All right. So what exactly does spices mean? Yeah. S.P.I.C.E.S. Spices. Everybody write it down. Now, you see the first letter S. It stands for what?
Sexual compact. Sorry. Spiritual compatibility.
It stands for what?
Spiritual compatibility.
After I will ask you why it stands for,
oh my God,
spiritual compatibility. If you will ever have fulfilling relationships, a satisfying marriage, and a happy home, you must ensure spiritual compatibility. What do you mean by spiritual compatibility?
Spiritual compatibility for me is
convictions,
and consistency.
What do we mean by that? If two people are going to be in a relationship, right? They have to make sure that the convictions they share with regard to spirituality are similar. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 21. But there you can point it out. It says, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. Now watch this. You don't have to be spiritual or religious to have a happy home. No, please don't get it wrong. We have unbelievers who have been married for years. We have atheists who have been married for years. I mean, heck, the mafia, assassins, they have homes. And they build dynasties, happy homes. So what do we mean by spiritual compatibility? It doesn't mean that both parties must fear God.
It means that their belief system on the existence of the supernatural realm must be the same. So it's the awareness and
the depth of convictions that they have. So if I'm an atheist, I don't believe in God. If I want to have a happy home, I must hook up with
another atheist that does not believe in God.
If I believe in God, I must hook up with someone who
believes in God.
So it's more about your convictions. Please understand this. Please. So apart from your convictions, there must be consistency of those convictions. So we gave a good example, and we like using this example. I believe in Jesus Christ. You believe in Jesus Christ, right? Mm-hmm. I believe in supernatural healing.
Mm-hmm. I believe in supernatural.
Let's switch it.
Okay, I believe in...
You believe in supernatural healing.
I believe
in medical healing. Now we both believe in Jesus, but there are going to be problems. When I am sick, I rush straight to the
doctor.
When you are sick,
I pray to God for healing.
We're actually narrating our story. My wife, she know they go hospital. You get? She can be doing like, go, and you will die for nothing. She won't go. I know some of you think I'm the pastor. No, me. If the thing do me too much, I stretch my feet, the feet no grease stretch. I get up, I go to the hospital. Why are we saying this? Imagine that we did not discuss it and then our child is sick. And maybe I've traveled. I now tell my wife, take our daughter to the hospital. When my wife is ill, my wife doesn't go to the hospital. What do you think she's going to do to the daughter? My daughter is going to fade out that healing. What do you think that's going to do to me? Do you understand what we mean when we say spiritual compatibility? So settle down and make sure. Don't try to change the person. That's where the problem starts. Don't try to change the person. Ascertain their current convictions and the consistency. Don't just listen to what they say. Listen to what they do. The consistency of their actions. So when we talk about spiritual compatibility, we're talking about the convictions and the consistency. Do you know that this even affects how relationships start? So someone comes, imagine that I like my wife, we're single. So I like this babe. And I come and tell her that God said, you are my wife. Abi? Mm-hmm. Then what will happen next?
And me, I don't believe in all those God said. I say, oh, freaky. Tell me, oh baby.
Oh baby, you sweet.
You look Similia.
Exactly, Priscilla, Cecilia, your face look Similia. Now watch this. I meet her and I say God said, but I gave her lyrics. She is following me because of the lyrics. I am with her because God said. We now get married. 3 years down the line, God now says, I should sell my car and quit my job.
Relocate.
Or we should relocate. I thought she married me because God said. She married me because I gave her lyrics. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? We're going to have issues. So, you have to ensure that you are as detailed as possible on the issues of spirituality. If this is making sense, if this is helping you, if this is an eye-opener, please, I want you to let us know. All right, then we move to the second letter in S.P.I.C.E.S, right? Are we done with spiritual compatibility, or you want to say so? We are, okay, so the next letter.
Okay, which is the F, and the P, sorry, which is the physical compatibility.
Please say it again.
Physical compatibility.
My God, what do you have to say on this with regard to what are the issues, what are the areas that physical compatibility covers?
It covers the physique and leisure.
The physique and leisure.
Physique meaning that.
Let me read that 1 Peter chapter 3.
Okay.
I want to read 1 Peter chapter 3 to show you the progression. Because some of you, if you don't read Bible, you will not listen to us. So let's read Bible. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 3 to 7. Okay. Now, it says, likewise, ye wives, verse 3 says, whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair and of wearing of gold or putting on of apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart. So, Peter is acknowledging the role that physique plays. He's just saying that it's not the priority. The priority is what's on the inside. But, believe you me, guys, physique is an issue. And physique, the body, the container, plays a big role. We wrote some things when we were discussing. What did we say? We said physique and leisure, we're really talking about their build. Under physique, their build. How they...
Does the person physically appeal to you? Like the
way they were created, the way they were formed, the container, their body. Because that's how they came. That's how they came. If I am light-skinned... Okay, well, let me not use that example because you can buy your complexion nowadays. If I am tall, I'm tall.
Broad chest.
If I'm broad-chested, I'm broad-chested. If a lady is curvy, she's curvy. It's important. Now, I must say this because when we talk about spiritual compatibility, people behave as if they're going to live with a spirit. You are living with a very, very real physical human being. So, build is how they came. Grooming is what they added. So, when it comes to physique, you have to really make sure that you are proud
of how they look.
Of how the person looks, how your husband looks. Now, you can't do anything about your build, but you can do a lot about your grooming. Abi? The issues that have to do with hygiene, dressing, neatness, right? Okay. And then that's under physique. That also covers things like medical status. That also covers things like health conditions. And then apart from physique, let's also discuss leisure. You really had a lot to say about leisure. So environment, how they relax, recreation, things like that under physical compatibility.
And leisure is how they react, how they... Okay, I said spirituality is how they relate with God, right? Then
the spirit realm.
Yes. The physical compatibility is how they relate with their environment. Like, is the person an outdoor person? Does the person like to... what does the person do for leisure? Like, does the person love football? Like, does the person like
love
to travel,
nature, likes traveling?
Like, you need to know all these things because if you're an indoor person, you don't like going out, and then the person you're dating is a club person, the person likes to go to club. Like, how will you be at home and your husband is in club? Like, will your mind be at rest? So,
or your husband likes interacting Owambe. You understand? You know, sometimes you marry someone that when they go to a party, they're the ones that spray money, they are the comedians, they're the ones that want to do MC. How do they relate with their environment? It's really important Really, really important. Okay, if you're still here, say I'm here. What was that? Okay, if you're still here, let's know that you're here. All right. Okay, so that has to do with issues of physical compatibility. And we said here that you can't afford to be drained by what energizes your spouse. If an activity energizes your spouse and it drains you, there's going to be a problem because you are not naturally compatible. And then you have to start learning. Under this physical compatibility, somebody wrote that you can lose weight. Listen. We're not trying to change people here. We're trying to evaluate how people already are. You see, this is a huge issue. Now, singles, listen. One of the worst mistakes you can make is try to change
who you are
adult
because of somebody.
I mean, look at all the things you've tried to change because of yourself. Like you've spoken to yourself that I'm going to change and you can't change. Then you really think you can change because of an outsider? I don't think it's realistic. I don't think it's even fair. Someone has been a particular way for 25 years, 28 years, 30 years. And then because they've known you for 2 years, they love you. You want them to change in 2 years how they've been for 30 years? Abba, it's love we love. We do not keep it. So, if you're single, please listen to this. All right? Don't try to change people. All right? So, we're moving to the third letter, which is
I, intellectual compatibility.
Intellectual compatibility. So listen, these are the spices, oh. These are the spices. Because you gave that analogy that if a meal is not well spiced, say it again, please. Share with us.
If you're served a meal that is not well spiced, when they bring another meal that has spice, even if you're full, when you taste that one, you'll be like, I want to eat this one. But when they bring a meal that is well spiced, even if they bring more food, you'll be satisfied. You won't want to eat something else. So like my husband always says, who don't belly food, no they
get longer throat. Most times. All conditions being constant. So, intellectual compatibility. Remember we said spiritual compatibility has to do with the convictions, their convictions and consistency about the spirit realm. Physical compatibility has to do with physique and leisure, the interactions with the physical realm. And then intellectual compatibility is now more about the soul. So the first is about the spirit, the second is about the body. And intellectual now is about
the soul.
The soul. And that has to do with their aptitude and their attitude to learning. Please say it again for reference purposes.
It has to do with their aptitude, the things here, and their attitude to learning, their attitude to improving what was in here. Because
sometimes you may be with someone who doesn't necessarily have that much aptitude, right? For reasons known to them. Maybe they didn't get a good primary education, they come from a poor background, self-esteem issues, and they don't really have aptitude. But you see in their attitude that
their rate of transformation
the rate of transformation.
Like mind-blowing. Like they just keep
pacing themselves, improving.
And trying to learn more.
So you don't just say, oh, this person is not. They have to be able to resonate, because intellectual compatibility is about mental stimulation. Nikki Nyoma says, I'm sexually attracted to intelligence. Sapiosexual. We hear that word so much. Sapiosexual. And it's interesting, it's nice. But we'll get to sexual compatibility, because intellectual compatibility and sexual compatibility is actually what people call sapiosexuals. But yeah, it's not just about intelligence. Do you know that you can be with someone who has stopped learning?
Book smart and is not intelligent.
Okay, book smart and not street smart.
Yeah, like intelligence is...
There are actually 9 types of intelligence. So if we're going to go deep, you see, most of what we're saying, we're discussing it on the surface level. Don't worry, we're going to keep having more of these conversations.
So
where we dig deep.
What the point I'm trying to make is, don't block out on somebody who is not like book smart because, oh, this person does not know. When my husband met me, I was not like, I was.
She keeps saying she was not book smart. But in my mind, this is how I used to think.
I was a struggling
academician,
struggling to graduate.
But
like,
there are many reasons why you will struggle in the Nigerian
I almost gave
system.
up on my academics. He had to threaten me. He said he was not going to marry somebody who didn't have a degree because me, I was at the point of saying, I beg, see, this degree I'm not doing again. So you get, if he was like saying, oh, sapiosexual, like he stimulated by, I was not stimulated by anything I was reading in the course.
But there's a reason for that. Let me explain why. You see, there are people who are... should I go into this? No, let's leave this. We'll discuss the 9 types of intelligence. You can Google it. You'll be shocked. Some people have kinetic intelligence. They are intelligent with their body. Have you seen some of these videos of small children that are dancing? And you'll be like, how can they move like this? That's kinetic intelligence. Right? Some people have existential intelligence. So just go and Google all these. They are about 9. Yeah, so don't just leave it to just academic intelligence. But we say their ability to stimulate you, to resonate at an intellectual level. Their attitude towards capacity building, competence, and exposure. See, this one is very important. You see me and my wife like this. Oh my God. You see this intellectual compatibility. We built bridge, we built stadium on this particular compatibility. How much have we spent on trainings since we got married? You don't want to know. We'll have built skyscraper. You know why? I'm big on intellectual development. She's big on intellectual development. Do you know that sometimes the fees, there are times when we bring the fees for our trainings and we drop it. This is how my wife will say, when you pay this amount, how much are you going to make from this training? Same thing with her. Imagine if we were both not intellectually compatible. She will see my capacity building as a waste. I will see her capacity building too as a waste. So don't just rush and say, oh, God said he's my husband. Is it God that will live with him? It's you. So you must interpret the speakings of God, knowing you are spirit, you are soul, and you are body. Alright? So that has to do with intellectual capability. What's their attitude towards capacity building? What's their attitude towards exposure? What's their attitude towards competence? Are they intimidated? But are they eager to learn? Are they ashamed of their ignorance and they want to mask their ignorance with bragado? All right. Now, because this is very important, let me tell you something. You see, spiritual compatibility and physical compatibility, those are the things that attract you. Right? God said, she's my wife. Oh, I'm interested. And then she's now beautiful. Oh, I'm even more interested. But when you now get to these issues, that's when people will now start knowing that there is more to life than just spirituality and physique. Intellect plays a role. So let's go to the 4th letter in S.P.I.C.E.S, which is career and cash flow compatibility. Please type that one. Career and cash flow compatibility. Type it to romance without finance is nuisance. It's at the beginning that money doesn't matter. It's at the beginning that you don't make decisions based on money. But as you marry and the family grows, money will start to play an even bigger role in the success or the failure of your marriage. Both the scarcity of money and the surplus of money, the abundance of money or the absence of money, both can cause issues in marriage. So career and cash flow compatibility. My love, you were saying something about career, which basically has to do with what the person is going to spend the bulk of their productive years doing, whether they're going to be entrepreneurs, whether they're going to be ministers of the gospel, whether they're going to be, what career path are they going to choose? And we said there are 2 things that usually happen as people are building or pursuing a career. The first is what? Rhythm. And the second is balance. Career is all about rhythm and balance. What do we mean by that?
This generation is experiencing the whole rhythm, because I've heard a lot of people come to meet me to say, oh, how do you balance your career and ministry? How do you balance family life? And some of us who are watching now are tailors, and you realize that sometimes you're working on a job and you can't just seem to find a balance between how to handle your relationship and how to meet your clients' needs. So you have to be able to find a balance. It's never going to change. The more the responsibilities of life come, when you get married, there's going to be more responsibilities, and then you need to even make more money. So there's going to be more demand on you from career. So you have to be able to find a balance between you and your partner to handle the transitions.
And balance comes when you're making progress. The first thing is even rhythm. Because, for example, look at this corona period now. Some people have lost jobs. The rhythm of their career is disrupted. So you even have to first find a rhythm. So I remember when my wife and I started out, and we started to ask ourselves, what will your career look like? What will your career path look like? Because I needed to be able to see that rhythm, that, oh, this is how her career is going to go. Yes, there will be ups, there will be downs, but overall it's going to be higher highs and higher lows. Okay, not up today, oh, crash tomorrow. No. So it's important that you identify the rhythm of the career, the career path. And one of the things we did was I asked my wife, who would you like to be like in your career at age 25, at age 35, at age 45, at age 55? It's not easy to say what you will be, but it's easy to say who you want to be like. So sit down with the person that you're in a relationship with. As even married people need to do this, because most married people don't sit down to come up with a plan for independent financial productivity. They always say, I'll get a job. What if you don't get a job? Are you going to starve? What if you lose your job? So it's all about having an idea of who you want to be like. And my wife told me 5 people that she wants to be like. So I investigated their career path. And when I saw the career path, I was able to discern the rhythm in that career path. We were able to discern, okay, after this comes this, after this comes this, after this comes this. That's why you notice...
You know that you're not making endless sacrifices. You know that we're working together to achieve this.
Who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross. This is so important. And then when you're not becoming like that person, then you know, okay, my mentorship, my followership is wrong. This is so important for the career path. It's so important because career helps you reinvent yourself. When she got married to me, I was just a regular guy. But now she calls me every time when she wants to collect money from me. She says, you are the pin, the profitable investor. Why will you say you don't want to give me this money? And then when she says things like that, so that boy has become who he is today. And there are other people that are looking at that she knows. So regardless of what we're going through, she knows who I want to become like. And I know the same for her. I don't know if this makes sense. So the way I've seen this, my wife, I know who she wants to be. Like, I know their names. I can call some of them now, but I will not call them yet. If you carry my wife and put her in those people's shoes, my wife will be happy. So I already have an idea of what my wife will become. So it will catch me by surprise. I'll go and investigate the husband of that person and know the kind of pain he's under being that person's wife, and know the kind of pleasure, know the kind of sacrifices, so that when it's my turn to give those same sacrifices, like my wife is a trader's wife, she can tell you firsthand the emotional rigmarole in the early years of being a trader's wife. All right, so let's drop that. Then the second part I said is career, and then the second part is cash flow. Because career is what you do, but cash flow is what the career does for you. And cash flow has to do with earning and spending. Career is about finding the rhythm and the balance. Cash flow is about earning and spending. You guys need to sit down and ask yourself, how will we earn? Now, most people think that you just throw it on the man. The man is the winner. Well, the world is changing. Do you know, at a point I had to sit down and ask myself, Jimmy, what will you do if your wife is richer than you? I sat down, I thought about it. Because guess what? In this generation, a wife can be richer than her husband. It's not like our parents' generation. So if my wife is richer than me, will I still feel like a man? So these are, if my wife starts earning so much, how does it change the dynamics? And then spending. Some people are married to, if I'm the earner in the relationship and you are the spender, a time can come when there may be resentment. Because you're not financially compatible. There's no career and cash flow compatibility. The earner after a while will feel like I'm just working here. And then the spender too can feel like a liability and start developing self-esteem, low self-esteem. So you need to talk about it. If this is making sense, if this is helpful, please comment how it is helpful, the clarity you're gaining, please do so. All right? Then, what's the fifth thing?
Emotional compatibility.
The E in S.P.I.C.E.S is emotional compatibility. And this has to do with what? Vulnerability and connection. Or expression and feedback. I will leave this one for my wife to discuss, because you see this issue of emotional compatibility, yeah? It affects the man and the woman, but on the average, women are more emotional than men. So I will leave her to take the floor and share what she means by emotional compatibility, expression and feedback.
I'm not much of a talker.
I thought you say, I'm not a woman of love. And they say, what? Women can like emotional.
Yes, now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now you're with this, you met this man who is very spiritual. He looks like his physique is everything. And then you guys connect intellectually. You have to pay attention to, does this guy get me? Like, do we connect? Like, does he listen to me? And this listening, it has to be both ways. That's why we talk about the feedback. So, you're telling him a story, or you're telling him something that happened to you. And then the next time you're narrating that stuff to him, he can't remember any of the details of what you said. Then he doesn't get you. There's no connect. And you know that as a woman, you're going to be doing like 90% talking in your marriage. You're going to be the one talking. If this person does not pay attention to the things that you're saying, then he's not going to change when you get married. I always say that if you meet a man who pays attention to you, then obviously there's a connect. Most men don't pay attention. They don't have time for all these chit chat, talk up and down. So
we want to have time.
Exactly.
But we need that time to make money.
But you notice that that there's a guy that you meet, and when you start talking, you start telling him stories. The guy is all interested. Today you tell him that, oh, I'm not feeling fine, I have a slight headache. The next day he's asking him, how far with the headache? Another one, you told him you have headache. Tomorrow he's calling you to go out. You've not really healed from the headache. Like nothing is connected. The guy should be able to pay attention to the dots that you're connecting. If the guy cannot connect those dots, then know that you people are not connecting on an emotional level.
Sorry, let me cut you short here, because you see, ladies, if you find a guy that connects with you emotionally, regardless of his physique, we've been in this team
regardless of his physique,
years.
If a guy
7 years marriage,
with you emotionally,
10 years relationship, if it doesn't look like the content, forget the physique. Because you see, this emotional compatibility for women is high.
That's what you'll be dealing with.
Men are emotional, but society from a young age has beaten that emotional side out of us. You cry, they say, man, don't cry. So over time, men have learned to bottle their emotions. So we're used to it. It's not healthy, but we're used to it. But women have not learned to bottle their emotions. So please, this issue of emotional compatibility, pay attention to it, women. Please.
So now, I just talked on the side of the woman. Now, on the side of the man.
Caspita Cake said, this physique matter, I feel attacked. See, no matter how sweet the six-pack is, highest mileage.
Brothers are not paying attention to you, it's not connecting to you.
15 years, you go in.
Better run.
You see this physique is calm. It's when you are young that physique matters. Just make sure the person is healthy and has healthy habits. The highest, no matter how fine she is, she go old. No matter how juicy.
Meanwhile, if I raise this camera now, you see previous pictures of me and my husband when he was looking bald. If I was looking at physique.
Most people thought I was bald.
I'll not, but now me give you this correct haircut.
Most people thought I was bald. I just wasn't interested.
You customize the look to look like what.
See, nobody is ugly. They are just broke. Nobody is ugly. They are just broke. When certain levels of peace of mind and financial stability come in, you will be shocked the way that guy will be fine. If he doesn't have fine face, give him fine clothes. Fine is fine. Fine is fine.
Okay, then on the side of the men now, you meet this lady, she loves God. She's as beautiful as everything you dream of. But on an intellectual level, you could connect. But when the girl is talking, you don't connect with her. Like, you know, you can't even hear anything she's saying. But you go and hook yourself and say, oh, the girl is your dream, hourglass, everything, kind of. Meanwhile, there's this other lady that is not the hourglass or anything. But when she's talking, like, she reminds you of your mom. She reminds you of your sisters. Like, if
you feel that
you feel
connection.
her, you know, like she's your friend, but no, you're not proud of the way she's looking. You want the one that is the
slay mama.
Slay mama. That's the person you will live with for the rest of your life. If you cannot hear the person when the person is talking, how do you plan to connect with that person? So this emotional connection is very, very important. You need to pay attention among all your friends, your female friends. The one that the one that gets you. Forget all these other things. The one that gets
I know
you.
when you're young, it's hard to forget. I'm still young. We're still young, right? But believe you me, the older you get, the more you want emotional connection. Trust me. Trust me. Are you done with emotions? Because
yes,
I want to move to the last one.
I'm done with emotions.
No. I still want to give you. I give you 1 more minute to wrap up emotions.
No,
so that when I start this last one, you will know that some of you already know. You have an idea of the last S.
Some people will say, hey, I like the way this guy is tall. I like the way this one loves God. I like the way this one is very intelligent. Just mix a little portion of that.
Let me tell you, you see, the issue is if you want a guy who is handsome, if you want a guy who loves you unconditionally, if you want a guy who is super rich, if you want a guy who gets you, right? You already have him. His name is Jesus.
I didn't see that coming.
His name is Jesus. So please, lower your standard for the other human being. Alright? Please. Okay?
So brother, in fact, I passed the whole handouts to you.
The last S, which is the reason why many people marry, because they are burning and then they now find out that there's more to life than burning, but it's still important. S stands for what? Let me hear it, baby.
Sexual compatibility.
Sexual compatibility. See, the Bible has clearly said it that one of the reasons why marriage is recommended is for the issue of avoiding fornication. Please, ladies, please listen to me, wives, because I have a personal vendetta on behalf of my brothers. Not my
He's
own.
speaking for the Association of Men.
Yes.
Both the ones who are satisfied and the ones who are starved and the ones who are satisfied but still want to be satisfied.
See, you see this issue of sexual intimacy, sexual compatibility. There are two aspects of sexual compatibility. The first is what we call satisfaction. Sex is an appetite, and there must be a level of satisfaction. Now, let me tell you something. How God designed it. When a woman doesn't feel vulnerable, that vulnerability and connection with her man, she becomes emotionally frustrated. What emotional intimacy does for a woman is what sexual intimacy does for a man. A woman can go for weeks, months, even years. You see some women who are widows and they don't feel sexually dissatisfied if they have someone to talk to, because those emotional burdens are lifted, so they can manage the physical desires, they can manage it, they can suppress it. But for a man, those physical desires, except he has a medical condition or a history of abuse, impotence, sexual abuse in his childhood, that physical urge is strong. And it's not just satisfaction. Sexual compatibility has to do with satisfaction and fantasy. I know some people are saying, are you not supposed to be a pastor? Satisfaction and fantasy. Now, there are some men who are starved. You need to discuss, this is for married people, please. If you are single, you see those first 5, manage it. It's enough. But what you should do as a Christian single is do not hate the subject of sex. Just don't exploit. Do you understand what I'm saying? The Bible says, awaken not love before it's time. Don't exploit, but don't avoid it. Because there are many Christians, we've talked about this, who got married maybe as virgins or as chaste, and then they have serious issues finding sexual fulfillment. You know why? They treated sex as a bad thing. In their mind, sex is bad. So when they got married, their mind couldn't change and start saying sex is good. They kept seeing sex as a bad thing. So when their husband is asking for sex, or the wife is asking for sex, they look as if, why are you tempting me? It's not a temptation, it's their right. Sex is a beautiful thing in marriage. So women, please, if you know, I didn't say single people should go. I say listen, but keep it for future purposes. That future is very close now. How about if you know that your husband is not being emotionally intimate with you? Let me give you a secret. Opi, please say the secret. If your husband is not being emotional, if he's refusing to be vulnerable, if he's refusing to connect with you, what should a woman do?
You give finish him.
Finish him. As in, your husband wants to be doing like this for you, he wants to be doing guy. Mumu him on the bed. Mumu him. You know the way men used to do when they are sexually aroused, konji, they'll start promising what they cannot do. Remember the story of Herod, when they danced before him and he promised a little girl half of his kingdom. That's exactly what happens. When a man is sexually aroused, his ego and his rational thinking goes out the window. He becomes vulnerable. If you find out that your man is no longer vulnerable with you, increase your ability to supply sexual fantasy and sexual satisfaction. All right? So this is S.P.I.C.E.S. And then we will be ending now. It's telling us we have 19 more minutes. But we've told you all the compatibilities. immediately, we're going now, but we're coming back immediately to tell you how the attitude you should have to introduce these compatibilities in your marriage or your relationship. Cheers. See you. Hello, we're back. Hello, my name is Ejimi Adegbeye, aka Ejimi the Profitable, Olufukeji Ejimi Adegbeye, aka Ejimi the Profitable Investor.
And I am his wife, Hope Ejimi,
aka Sweetness Cakes KD. So, thank you so much, guys, for joining back. We were discussing spices, the essential ingredients for fulfilling relationships, satisfying marriages, and happy homes. SPICES is an acronym, S being spiritual compatibility. That has to do with your level of convictions and your consistency with things that pertain to God and spirituality. And then the second thing is P, which stands for physical compatibility. And this has to do largely with your physique as well as leisure. The way you groom your body and the way you relax and interact with your environment. The third thing is I, which is intellectual compatibility. And we said that has to do with your aptitude for learning and your attitude towards learning. How are both of you ensuring that you are similar and you're resonating on the issues of capacity building or the issues of competence and the issues of exposure? The third thing is what? C, which has to do with career and cash flow compatibility. And we said for career, it's all about ensuring that you help one another to find the rhythm and the balance in your career. Rhythm at the beginning of the career, when you're not really sure how things will turn out. You have a reference point, mentors, people you want to be like at different stages of your career. And then balance when things now start working out, and because your career is productive, it looks like other areas are suffering. Then how do you help one another to find balance? And then we now spoke, apart from career compatibility, we spoke on cash flow compatibility, which basically has to do with how you help each other to earn more and how you help each other to spend prudently. Because how you earn and how you spend, independent financial productivity affects your compatibility. And then we move to E, which has to do with emotional compatibility. And my wife spoke at length the issue of vulnerability, the issue of connection, and she advised ladies to do what when choosing a man?
To choose a person who listens to you, and then you too, a guy, choose the lady who you can listen to. Then I forgot the other part of being vulnerable. Ask yourself, can I tell this person everything? As a woman, can I tell this person everything? That
if not immediately,
but
eventually,
can I be naked and unashamed with this person? And then with the man too, especially for the man, if it's very easy for a woman to trust you with information and to just be open with you, but as a man, you're looking at this woman, can you be vulnerable with her?
Very important. And then we spoke on the last S, which is sexual compatibility. And we said sex is really all about satisfaction and fantasy. And we said that, I said that you need to understand that it is your responsibility to meet the sexual needs of your spouse. Biblically, now we're being biblical. It's your responsibility. My sexual satisfaction, my sexual fantasy fulfillment is not my responsibility to fulfill. It's my wife. And God designed it so that I will always need her, because the nature of the human body is you are physiologically wired to be routinely desirous of sex. It's a frequency. So God did it in such a way, for the woman, her own is less frequent, but at least once a month when she's ovulating.
It's not once, so it's like 3 days.
3 days, okay. So for like 3 days, that them go they rush you. 3 days in 30 days, they go they rush you. And it becomes my responsibility to satisfy her. That's why masturbation is wrong. Masturbation is not wrong because it is a sin. In fact, I know that some people will quote me, so let me just leave it. Let me just leave it. What makes masturbation wrong is not that somebody is ejaculating onto the ground. Because if you say that's what makes masturbation wrong, that means women can masturbate. Because women don't ejaculate. So it's not the ejaculation that makes it a sin. Masturbation is wrong because you learn to pleasure yourself without the assistance of your spouse. So God designed it so that if I'm fighting with my wife and I'm keeping malice, no matter how I want to keep malice, there is something in my body chemistry. What's that?
What if a wife is not sexually attracted to the husband? Okay, we're going to talk about
that.
Married people, how to address.
If you're not sexually attracted to your husband, there's pain somewhere. It's either a medical issue or it's an emotional issue. Because during ovulation, you should be attracted to your husband. At least during ovulation, you should be. Except there's a medical issue or there's an emotional hurt. Usually, when women don't feel emotionally satisfied, they don't feel motivated to satisfy their husbands physically. What emotional satisfaction is to a woman, that's exactly what physical satisfaction is or sexual satisfaction is to a man. All right? So if that flow is there, they will always find it easy to bend and fulfill each other's needs. But I was saying that the reason why masturbation is wrong is if I outsource my sexual fulfillment and make it my own responsibility, we can keep malice forever. Because I'll either masturbate or I'll find someone outside to help me out. And that's wrong because that weakens the marriage bond.
There's no unity.
There's no unity. So God made it her responsibility to keep me satisfied so that no matter how I want to do like this, when that appetite, when Konji hooks me, I will step down and I'll say, hey, baby. She already knows. And then we can address whatever issues exist. I hope this makes sense to somebody. So, if this makes sense, especially married people, please. Okay, someone says, how do intending couples know that they are sexually compatible without involving in the act? Remember I told you there are two dimensions to sex. The first is the satisfaction. The emotional intimacy, yeah? There are two dimensions to intimacy, emotional intimacy and sexual intimacy. So you can practice emotional intimacy by just being open, communication, vulnerability, connection. But that will fulfill the woman more. It won't really fulfill the man. Because the man is more of the giver, but the woman is the beneficiary. However, depending on how close you are to the marriage date, so I'm saying you've printed the cards.
If you don't print card, wait till you find again.
No, let's say it was so they won't quote us. We are not saying have sex before marriage. No, we're saying if you've printed the cards and you know the date, right, you can discuss fantasies.
But what if you discuss fantasies and they don't match? Is it that you're going to take away the cards again?
So that's why physical intimacy is there. Remember we said physical intimacy at the beginning. If you believe she's beautiful.
Beauty is not Bessie, ugly also.
Ugly, freaky. My wife and I. You see, this is where mentorship plays a huge role. This is where mentorship plays a huge role. And this is why you should be mentored by married couples.
And that's why sex is not the only activity in marriage.
Yes. Remember we said something about leisure. Leisure, right? Remember leisure satisfies the body too. Leisure has a way of exercise satisfies the body. Going out to watch a movie satisfies you. Playing games satisfies you. So you can use that as a gauge. You see how the person behaves with physical activities. And I'm like, okay, if she can be like this, then she can be like this too. You see how they laugh, you see how they tickle themselves. But then you have to do a lot of talking. Was this person abused? Was this person raped?
Most issues of sexual compatibility is because there is a wrong mindset about sex. So once you get married and you find out that there's a problem, just like when you when you are sick, okay, just like when you're having a headache or you're sick, you go to a doctor.
Yes.
So when you get married and you find compatibility problem, then
you go to a therapist. Two of you carry yourselves to a therapist. But this is the issue. The person now starts to insist that that's the way I am. It's not true. That's not the way you are. Sorry about that. So that's not the way you are. So you see what happens is the wife will now look and say, well, I'm not sexually interested or attracted to you. That's true. But there's a problem because it's your responsibility to satisfy that man. And if you love the man, you will see it as our problem. You won't see it as his problem. It's not his problem. It is our problem. But the issue is when you look and say, okay, it's your issue. It's your issue. It's wrong. You see, if you're not ready to be emotionally intimate with your spouse, and you are not ready to be physically intimate with your spouse, do not marry. It is wickedness to marry. The Bible says if you are born in, what should you do? Marry. So the Bible says marriage is the solution to sexual frustration. If you have now married and you are now still sexually frustrated, what is the solution? They didn't discuss any solution because they didn't expect you to be sexually frustrated in marriage. I don't know if this makes sense. All right. Now, of course, we're talking about sexual practices that are not harmful or injurious. Because you see, in this generation, many people have opened their minds to all kinds of sexual exposure. They have gone to watch all kinds of pornographic movies. They've gone to all kinds of practices. And then you now want to load it on your wife. Your wife should tie you to the roof. Your wife, see, Oga, is married, she married, she did not keep person. Tame your desires. But if what they are looking for is within the confines of safety, remember I said safety, I didn't say preference. I didn't say preference. Safety. That means there is no biblical reason why you shouldn't do that thing. It will not kill you. It will not injure you. You may not be used to it. You may not be comfortable with it. But remember, sexual intimacy is about satisfaction and fantasy. This is so important. If this has helped the lady, yeah.
So just like a recap on this now, if you're married to a person and you discover that you are not sexually compatible, just like you marry a woman and you find that she can't cook or like whatever challenges, it can be learned. You have to be patient with the person and teach the person because it's something that there's no hope to get outside. It's like if cooking is even better, you can even decide to be eating in a restaurant, but this one, with your female friends or your male friends. You just meet them and you just connect with them instantly. You meet this guy and he doesn't listen to you. How do you get a guy to listen to you when he's not paying attention? Like, you can't make a
Yeah, but you know why I would disagree with you on this?
Okay.
If a guy is spiritually compatible with you, he fears God, physically compatible with you, intellectually compatible with you, and career and cash flow wise, compatibility exists. I personally believe that you will be able to relate. If there's no emotional connection, it is most likely because one of those other first four is heavily absent. How can we love the same physical activities? How can we love God? How can we have the same attitude towards learning? How can we have an understanding of our career paths and where you are going as a career person, and we both agree and resonate on that, and then we're not talking to each other?
It's possible. Let me explain to you what this talking thing is like. As a woman, I'm not trying to be like gender bias, but there are some things that come naturally to women. Like, for example, the way that I talk about little details of things that don't make sense. Like, okay, the way somebody annoyed me, or maybe I'm trying to gossip about somebody who, like, gossip. I'm not saying like gossip or slander.
No, husband and wife, they gossip a lot.
And then you pay attention to the things I'm saying.
Yes.
I've met people before I met you that we were friends with, that I connected with them on a spiritual level. There was one, that we used to go on evangelism together. We used to go and preach together. We connected on every level, but on this part of gisting and playing, we did not used to gist and play. It was all spiritual. When I want to play with him, he will be telling me what the Lord is saying. That's the part I'm saying, that if, as a woman, it's like sex for a man.
Yeah, I understand. What I'm saying is, so if you have a guy that has four, and you leave him,
when you still get another one that has
okay, that's
I'm not saying that
this issue of
I'm
marriage.
not going to say that. Wait. I'm not saying that he's going to have everything. No. I'm saying that there are some of these things that are more important.
Of course.
What I'm saying is that, okay, you have a woman that is spiritual. You have a woman that let's say she's fundamental. First most important, she loves God. Then she's good with money. Like, you could connect intellectually. Then what's the last one?
Sexual.
Okay. The lady doesn't like sex. Will you marry her?
I would find out after I've married her that she doesn't like sex.
Wait, no. Let's
okay,
say,
she has been abused.
Yes,
she has been abused.
And she talks about it. Whenever you're talking about sex, she's like, ew, please don't talk about sex. Will you marry her?
I will establish that's why we're going to the next phase of this.
Wait now.
Okay.
I'm just saying that you've tried to get her to be comfortable with sex. She's not. Every time you want to talk about it, then there is somebody else that everything you connect on everything. But this lady is not as beautiful as you would love her to be. But when it comes to
I would not advise. I would advise the person to go with the lady who is sexual.
See, I know what I'm talking about,
because they get what I'm saying. They have a choice.
How won't you have a choice?
That's what I'm saying.
Life is about having choices.
I agree.
See, most of the issue with women is that this guy that doesn't connect with you he's good looking and he's all this dream guy kind of thing. Me, I'm saying that just like the way there are some things that cannot be learned, no matter how you say, oh, we're going to teach. Do you want to use your whole life trying to teach a guy to connect with you when you can actually find somebody that can connect?
So if the issue is that you are trying to find someone that connects with you, that is fine. One of the things I know is that marriage is such a... Are you still with us? Someone is saying network. If you're still here, please let us know. Okay, let's leave that. Let's discuss those who are already married. But what I would say is some of these things can be learned, and I will share it in the second part. We'll discuss it in the second part. Ever since I started trying
my
for
own
a second
advice would
baby.
be,
Yes, I'm listening.
my own advice would be, if you're already in the marriage, the person can be let.
But if you're not,
if you're
yes,
not,
you want
don't
to,
go and
want
hook
to
yourself with
reconsider.
somebody
Oh, yes,
that you'll
agree.
be struggling with.
I agree.
All these things before. This is
I
why we're
agree.
saying
No, of course.
singles.
See, if you're single, take your time. If you're single, take your time. Don't rush. If you're married, then we move to the second part. So let's move quickly to the second part. Someone asked a question about babies. They're trying to have babies, and so it's affecting their sexual life. You have to understand that there is sex for the sake of pleasure, and there is sex for the sake of procreation. This is what I'll say to that couple. Find out your fertility calendar when your wife is most fertile, and use those opportunities to practice sex for procreation. Then find out the times when she is not as fertile, and use those opportunities where your primary goal is pleasure. Now, it can be hard because that psychological strain is on your mind. But if you have a conversation, you see, the thing about emotional compatibility and sexual compatibility, it has a lot to do with the mouth, communication, and the heart, openness. So that brings me to the second model that I want to teach you guys. And once we say that, you would understand how to build compatibility. Now, this is for people who are already married. Okay? The deed has been done. You are in the marriage. What should your attitude be? All right. So everybody say this: CCTV.
CCTV.
All right. Now, what do I mean by CCTV? CCTV is the attitude you should have towards the subject of compatibility when you are already married. I want to read something very quickly to you. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21 to 25. Please, singles, you learn a lot from this. With Ephesians chapter 5, from verse 21 to 25. All right, listen. Submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. Wives, submit. So the first thing is submission should be mutual. Submitting one to another in the fear of God. So the fear of God is why I submit to my wife. The fear of God is why she submits to me. You see why you should marry a believer? Because the fear of God is supposed to act as a buffer. There are some things they will not do to you because they fear God. There are some things they will do to you because they fear God. So it's so important that the fear of God be established. Remember, this falls under spiritual compatibility. All right, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. Verse 22 says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. They have flogged this issue, especially in Africa, and women are tired because they are always telling women to do what? To submit. However, there's a second part of this equation, and I'll read it. It starts from verse 25. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. And gave himself for it. This is so important. If you're still with us, say, I'm still with you. If you're still with us, I need to be sure you're still with us. Just comment if you're still with us. We want to be sure you're still with us. All right. So now, how is a man supposed to treat his wife? Because it says clearly that wives should submit. But it now says to husbands that husbands should love. It didn't say husbands love your wife. He gave you a standard for loving your wife. He said, love your wife as Christ loves the church. How did he love the church? He gave himself up. So how do you foster compatibility? Husbands are expected to sacrifice for their wives. If you are a man, if you are a husband, just comment. A husband's role is a role of sacrifice. A wife's role is a role of submission. You see, this is why there is friction in marriage. This is why there's lack of compatibility. Men are demanding submission from their wives, but are not offering sacrifice for their wives. And it says you sacrifice your life. Your life. So it's not like you're sacrificing a bad thing. You're sacrificing your rights for the sake of your wife. Deuteronomy 24 verse 5. Deuteronomy 24 and 5. I'll read a very scary scripture to you. Deuteronomy 24 and verse 5. It says, when a man had taken a new wife, he shall not go out to war, neither shall he be charged with any business, but shall be free at home 1 year, and shall cheer up his wife who he has taken. Can you imagine what God is saying? God is the one speaking here. He's saying when you have taken a wife. So he didn't force you to take a wife. You see why Paul said don't marry. And you see why Paul didn't marry. Paul didn't marry because he knows marriage is hard. And Paul was not ready to sacrifice his ministry, his love for God. He wasn't ready to sacrifice anything. So he says, see, I'm not going to get married. If you cannot sacrifice, don't marry. Men, if you cannot sacrifice, don't marry. In marriage, husbands don't choose whether to sacrifice or not. You choose who is worth sacrificing for. My wife, you're smiling. Why are you smiling? So, marriage is me seeing many babes. As a single guy, I say, this lady is fine, this lady is fine, this lady is fine, this lady loves God, this lady loves God, this lady loves God. Then I now say, this lady is worth sacrificing my own desires for. Because the Bible here says the man will not go and fight war, and the man will not do business. Is war not legitimate? In those days, they were either warriors or they were farmers. And he said, your priority is your wife's pleasure. I know many people won't want to hear this, but it's the truth. It's the word of God. That's why Paul said, don't marry. That when you marry, your concern will be for how to cheer your wife. So I looked at many ladies and I said, okay, this one will not choke me with sacrifice. At least her own level of sacrifice. Although, man, I will not lie to you. Her own level of sacrifice, nothing, man. Her own level of sacrifice is what I am, is within my capacity to do. So when a man offers sacrifice and the woman offers submission, there will be compatibility. So it's my right as a man to eat my food, maybe 3 square meals, and I have my food at a particular time. It's my right, especially if I'm fulfilling my responsibilities as a breadwinner. It's my right. But if my wife, for whatever reason, cannot cook or does not want to cook, guess what happens at that time? Please say it.
You sacrifice.
Duh. But she too, as a wife that knows she should submit, she too will now look.
Come and be saying, sacrifice for me. It's with, oh my love.
Exactly. So please, you will type this. As a husband, never demand submission until you have offered sacrifice. As a husband, never demand submission until you have offered what? Sacrifice. So me, I will say it. I, Olufukeji Ejimi Adegbe, do solemnly swear to offer sacrifice and to sacrifice my desires for the pleasure of my wife. So help me God. Now what's my wife going to say?
I hope Ejimi.
So, you see, she's not saying it. You see these women, you see the problem. but I've sacrificed my desire to hear it.
Okay, I sacrificed. No, sorry. I chose to offer my submission for what now?
For me.
For my
my
husband,
pleasure.
For his pleasure.
So, you want to buy a new phone for yourself. Your wife wants a new mixer. I sacrifice my phone for her mixer. Now, watch her own attitude. Her own attitude is submission. So she now says, I submit my mixer for his phone. Guess what will now happen? It will now be a fight. No, I'll buy the mixer for you. What do you mean I say?
No. Just buy the phone.
No, let me buy the mixer.
No, just buy it.
Do you see how the attitude of sacrifice and submission? I now start prioritizing her own needs first. She now prioritizes my own first. Does this make sense, people?
Yes, Papa.
If you are not married, don't marry a man who will not sacrifice for you. Men, if you are not married, don't marry a woman who will not submit to you. If you are already married, cultivate the culture of sacrifice as a husband and submission as a wife. And in what areas will you display this sacrifice and submission? Remember I told you CCTV. So we picked the first C. The first C, and the reason why we call it CCTV, so you will shine your eye. You know CCTV helps you to shine your eye. The first C in CCTV, my wife, please call it out. Okay. The first C in CCTV
is commitment.
Commitment. And commitment simply means
I'm here for you and I'm here for life.
Commitment simply means I'm here. I don't like what you're doing to me right now, but
I am here.
I don't like how you treated me the other day, but
I am here.
You really upset me the other day, but
I'm still here.
I'm here for you and I'm here for life. So the first C is commitment. These are our mantras. The second C is what?
It's competence.
Competence. And competence means
I am able.
I'm able. You see, that I'm here does not mean you will kill me. I want you to be able, to be capable. You understand what I'm saying? So, commitment says I'm here. Competence says I'm not just here, I'm able. So what we should be doing in a marriage every day is developing competence, being more able. So that's why you see the issue of like what you said about emotional intimacy.
Oh, okay, this is where you get me.
This is right, yes, because
okay, so even if you marry somebody who is not fulfilling all of the spice, you are able to walk towards becoming
it. Because you're already in it, you're stuck. If you're single, walk away. If you're married, build competence.
I am able to
become what you need me to become.
Willing and able.
Willing and able. So, competence. I'm able for you. Don't be like that. Please. That's why you rushed to marry. You didn't like your family. Please, don't be like that. Alright? Then, the T. I'm sure you know what the T is. If you already know what the T is in CCTV. You see, ladies here.
That's good.
Okay. Hello. We apologize for that break in transmission. We apologize for that break in transmission. If you're here with us, if you're back with us, please let us know. If you're with us, say hello. We're back, say hello. Who's here? Who's here? Okay, fantastic. We're back. Alright, so we said the first C is commitment, And commitment implies that I am here. I'm here for you, I'm here for life. I may not like it, but I'm here. You're upsetting me, but I'm here. And then we said the next C is competence. And competence means I'm able. I'm able. And that means that I'm able for you and I'm able for life. Who can tell us what T stands for? I want this to be interactive. Who can tell us what T stands for? T stands for what? So if there is a commitment to compatibility, it means you're here. If there is competence, it means you're working towards being able. Okay, Ibi Kiton.
Esther, you got it right.
T stands for trust, and trust simply means I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm safe. Trust means I'm safe, means I'm safe for you. You see, at the end of it all, when a guy cheats on his wife or a wife cheats on her husband, what she has just done is she has brought harm and brought pain to the person. To the person. Somebody says television.
Daniel.
Television come to mind. T is not for television. Daniel. T is not for television. T is for trust. Please. Please. What does television have to do in marriage?
Netflix, you use it to chill.
Nonsense. Daniel, be careful. So T is trust. And trust means I'm safe. Because you know somebody I can be here for my wife. I can be able for my wife, but I can be very injurious to my wife. I'm safe means that you don't have to worry about taking care of yourself. I'll take care of you.
I got you.
I got you. I got you. I got you. I got you. That's trust. I'm safe for you and I'm safe for life. And then the last is V. And V stands for what? Vulnerability. And vulnerability means I am open.
I'm open for you and I'm open for life.
You see all these mood swings, all these silent treatment where you refuse to be open, where you refuse to be vocal, all this refusing sex, withholding sex as a punishment, where you are literally refusing to be open. Where you are literally refusing to open. No, vulnerability says, I'm open.
Yeah, Bob, you're right.
I'm open.
Safe means
I'm open.
Emotional security.
When the woman is open to talk, you're open to listen. When the man is open for lovemaking, you are open for lovemaking. You see, if we don't do this, if we don't embrace this, and remember, you don't complain about this. So whenever I need to make a sacrifice to be here, that's the sacrifice of commitment as a husband. Whenever I need to make a sacrifice to be able, that's the sacrifice of competence. Whenever I need to go out of my way to behave in a manner that makes you safe, that's the sacrifice of trust. And whenever I'm open and I'm vulnerable, that's the sacrifice of vulnerability. It's a sacrifice. It will never be easy. Let me tell you something about marriage and why God instituted marriage. There is how I've been thinking for the last, well, I got married at age 27. So there's how I've been thinking for the last 27 years. And there's how my wife has been thinking for the last 23 years. Yes? When we got married. Sorry, 24 years. Now, let me tell you what marriage is. You know, we say one shall chase 1,000, two shall put 10,000 to flight. Marriage is God's secret weapon for increased productivity. When you get married, the mystery of increased productivity comes to bear in your life. But this is how it happens. I am who I am because of how I have been thinking as a bachelor. whatever results, whatever my wife saw in me that she liked is because of my mindset. Whatever I saw in my wife as a spinster that I liked is because of her mindset. Now, I don't think like my wife. I don't behave like my wife. I don't process like my wife. And she doesn't behave like me. But we were sufficiently desirable that we wanted to spend the rest of our lives with each other. What God does is, the way she has been thinking, or the way she had been thinking in her 24 years when I got married to her, that I liked what I saw. What God wanted to do was to bring 24 years of that mindset into my own life. So I now have two ways to look at life. Before, if I wanted to attack an issue, I would attack it with my own mindset. But now that my wife is in my life, I have an additional mindset. So anything my mindset has not captured, her own mindset has captured it. I don't know if this is making sense. Marriage is a chance to view life through my wife's eyes. Marriage is a chance for my wife to view life through my own eyes. So my wife will tell you some of the things that have changed about me that I learned purely from her, because I was willing to sacrifice my own way of thinking to adopt her own. Please tell an area that I've changed, and it's because of you.
Okay, so before we got married, he didn't mind spending on me. Like, he could spend a lot on me, but that spending, it must be on me. Like, we had a long distance relationship, so he would come from Lagos to Zaria to see me, and he would buy a lot of things for me, and he won't buy a single thing for my siblings or for anybody. And then when he buys it, he wants me to be the only one to use it. Like, I don't know, the love was just on me. Only me received this everything, this love. The love was choking. So over time, I'm like, if you love me, you will also love the people that I love, and you would express that love not only to me but to the people around me. And so gradually, it was now no more you. He started loving even the people around me. When he gives me things, I'm free to give to people. If the ladies in my shop will say, as in they will testify to how much they've benefited from this benevolence. That sometimes he's coming to buy lunch for me in the office, and then he buys for everybody. You just call, hello, how many are you in the office? Okay, so you, what are you eating? You, what do you want? What do you want? And he will buy for everybody. So that's one thing that changed.
Okay, I wasn't expecting her to give that example. Because you see, that's the thing. Some things that matter to your spouse, they will hold it deep. You just think
you thought it wasn't a big deal.
Well, you always say it's a big deal.
It was a big deal now.
Saying
just we love you only one
on
person.
national TV.
It's supposed to be everybody now.
Yeah, that's how. Yes, that's
love
how.
Love is for everybody. Love is big enough to go around the whole world.
Yeah, I learned that from you. All right, but what I know I used to do that she changed. I used to be a man of war. And in the Boski, I used to be very, very forceful. I didn't used to be very, very, you know what they say, gra. Any small thing, gra. My wife, on the other hand, used to be the epitome of, as in, softness. In fact, I used to feel people used to take advantage of her. Being married to her, and it worked for me. That my go-getter, that I kill you, smash everything, yeah? Although it wasn't that bad, but I meant you couldn't take advantage of me. I will not take it. I
You don't embarrass
my rights.
Attitude.
I knew my rights. As in, I knew my rights. If we're in the bank, you jump the queue, I'm coming to meet you. No, sir, we are all queuing. Please go to the back of the queue. If you refuse to go, I will call the branch manager. You must go to the back of that queue. That's a Jimmy of before. But when I got married to her, I started seeing that, okay, in life, you don't always have to use force and confrontation to get what you want. You can actually use meekness and civility and look stupid and still get what you want. It didn't make sense to me, but after a while of seeing it work for her, and as I said, okay, Ejimi, gra is not the only way to achieve results in life. So So now I have two ways of achieving results. So when I see you, and I say, okay, this one, if you don't give this one,
this one gets sense.
If you don't give this one, you won't get what you want. And I can look and say, okay, it's meekness that will give you what you want to this person. And that was because I looked at life through her eyes. Through her eyes.
Now he has given me the gra-gra. He has transferred this gra-gra.
And she used to ride her. But because we've been married for a while, now my wife can fight for her rights if she needs to. So that's what I mean when I say marriage. And that's how God achieves increased productivity. But imagine that I came and I told her gra-gra is the way to do things. No, gra-gra is not the way. Gra-gra is my way. You see, the problem in marriage is I like Eba. Well, I don't like Eba. I like Amala. My wife loves Eba. Well, not love. My wife loves Semo. My wife and Semo, they are like this. Of all the swallows, Semo is her favorite. Me, I don't like Semo. I prefer Amala. Now, imagine me coming to say that Amala is better than Semo. It's not true. What I should say is, I know Amala. Amala is my friend. I'm used to Amala. But this is what happens in marriage. The husband will come and say, Amala is better than Semo. The wife will say, no, Semo is better than Amala. But it's not true. What you need to say is, in my opinion, based on my experience, I prefer Amala. But I am willing to sacrifice my Amala for your Semo. Is this making sense? This is the only way you will ever have a happy home. So marriage is a chance to view life through your spouse's eyes. Alright? Even if you, Balogun Pelumi says, from what you said, so it means it takes understanding and patience to see life from your partner's perspective, even when you don't understand it at first. Yes, if you are not ready to see life from another perspective, do not get married. Period. And if you are married already, you have signed up. So you are supposed to see life from your spouse's perspective. So remember, do not demand submission if you have not first offered sacrifice. And do not demand sacrifice if you have not first offered submission. Very important.
And most importantly, do not focus on trying to change your partner. Be the person
you want your partner to become.
Be the person who will say, you know what, I am committed. Be the person who will say, I am competent. I am here for you. I am able. Be the person that will say, see, you know what, you can trust me. I am safe. I'm safe for you. And be the person to say, I am open. You must not say, oh, you're not open with me. Oh, you're
somebody put basmati and normal rice. Okay. I knew some of you would say that basmati issue. Listen. Hello, listen. Sometimes in life, sometimes you may not be able to sacrifice. That's the truth. That's the truth. But you know that if you have been practicing a lifestyle of sacrifice, when it gets to that one you are not willing to sacrifice, your partner will understand. There are some things, very few, that my wife knows that, Kai, this one, just leave this one for my husband. But when you have refused to sacrifice everything, so now that basmati rice, someone gave that example. My wife likes basmati. I like local, normal rice. So I tried to sacrifice for our basmati, but you know what?
The Ijebu you, not just.
It's not the Ijebu in me.
Like
because rice is not Ijebu. Rice is Thailand.
Thailand? Yes. No, they grow rice in Nigeria. What are you saying? Okay. I know you like Ofada or Mother. You like that one.
Basmati is not for me. Rice that is like, you can't even steal the rice.
It will melt in your mouth now.
So I tried to make it melt. For like 3-4 months, we were eating that basmati. Then she asked me, it's like you don't like it. When they ask you when you see your deliverance at time, you don't talk. I said, now that you're going to be something, I don't like it. Don't ever cook it again. And she said she loves it. And she chose to continue cooking it. And so she now created this formula of joining basmati and normal rice together. And we eat it. And guess what? When you get to the place where nobody is willing to sacrifice, then maybe you just have to blend the two.
Blended.
And people will now say, sorry, is this basmati rice or normal rice? You say this bas normal. Normality, but normality rice. All right? If you have questions, lastly, be friends. You see this husband and wife thing, People carry it on their head. This is my friend, friends with benefits.
I think that's like one of the most important ingredients of marriage. Let the person be your friend. Because, see, if you're saying...
Yeah, but you know why you are emphasizing friendship?
Why?
Because it's emotional intimacy.
That's why I was saying that lady should not sacrifice that.
Yeah, so I'm saying to you that as you are saying, let your husband be your friend, just be friends, You to just be your husband's friend.
Wait, let me tell you, let me say it the right way. Just be your husband's friend and you look at sex yourself.
Yes! Wives are looking for friends. Husbands are looking at... Okay, Toby says, please, can you talk about how you've raised your children? Okay, we'll answer this and then we're going to see in our next week, I think.
The rest of the questions that have been unanswered in next week, Sunday would.
Yeah, so how do we raise our children? Pretty much the same mindset. We want to instill discipline in them. We want to instill the fear of God in them. And we want to instill competence, make sure they have skills and talents. And then we want to also make sure they respect people. All right, so we are firm, but we are very, very loving. You see, how you love your wife, how you love your husband will play a great role in the overall well-being of your children. Children can sense friction. I remember some of the times when there will be issues between myself and my wife, and you will see it in our children. In fact,
say, Daddy, apologize to
yes,
mommy.
Dad will say, Daddy, apologize to mommy. And I would feel so guilty because they can sense these things. So the first gift you can give to your children is a peaceful marriage and a peaceful home. And then the second gift you can give to your children is clear-cut values. Know what you want. And then the third thing is give them the gift of freedom. Your children are not an extension of you. You don't own them. You don't force your dreams on your children. The Bible says train up a child in the way he should go, not in the way you want him to go. So as much as is possible, understand that they are not yours to dominate. You're just to guide them into what God wants for their own lives. And focus on having a happy home, so that when your children grow old and they leave you, you and your wife are not strangers. All right? So this is what I'll say. Maybe my wife wants to say something.
Finally, know that there's no marriage without challenges. Like there's no marriage without challenges. There's no relationship without challenges. The fact that you can step on me is because we're close. So the closer you get to each other, there must be friction. So friction does not mean she's not the will of God for you. Friction does not mean you made a mistake. Friction does not mean, how did I get here? Friction does not mean, oh, let's separate. A perfect marriage is the marriage that through all of the challenges, you can be able to navigate through all your challenges and still end up in love and still end up as friends. You don't want to imagine the kinds of things we've been through.
Oh, you don't want to know how many times my wife cries. You don't want to know how many times I used to look and say, how the heck did I get here? You don't want to know how many times you looked at each other and say, come on.
Was I mad when I said yes to this man?
Honestly,
but then it's your ability to navigate through all of these challenges and still end up in love. That's what makes a perfect marriage. Not a marriage without challenges, but a marriage that can stand all of its challenges and still end up happy and in love.
We're going to try and get the replay of this session, and it's going to be available. We created a Facebook group called S.P.I.C.E.S. Ingredients for amazing relationships, fulfilling marriages, and happy homes. So just search for it, S.P.I.C.E.S. So you see it, you see a photo of myself and my wife, and that's where we're going to post the replay. No, we're not going to be bugging you in the group. We just use it to curate the replay of all the messages that we have, all the live streams that we're doing, all the resources that we see. My wife and I see a lot of material that we use, that we read online, books, and we'll just be posting some of them there, sharing our thoughts with you on that Facebook group. It's called S.P.I.C.E.S, Ingredients for Happy Homes, something like that. You see a photo of me and my wife. All right. So please, please, please. I think I'll put the link on on your own Instagram. We'll put the link on your own Instagram for like today and tomorrow. You can click the link and you can join the Facebook group. All right. But we'll approve the group maybe at the end of the month. That's when you'll be allowed to join or something. I don't know. We just want to create a place where you can see all the articles. All right. Please, how should one react to your partner who has been constantly communicating with a so-called friend? You try to ask why this communication is constant. He insulted you for asking. Are you married? Let's start from there. If you're not married, you may want to consider allowing your partner decide whether he wants to be with you or he wants to be with his old friend. Okay? Remember we said marriage is about sacrifice. If you're married, then you have to find out without being confrontational. You have to swallow your own hurt and find out what is really going on.
Sometimes if you're confrontational, the person is going to be all defensive. Embrace the friend. You prefer you should do the friend.
You to call the friend.
Call the friend. Then
hey,
connect to the friend.
My friend, what's going on? You are my guy always talking. What do you always tell him?
Find a way around it and don't be confrontational.
But remember that CCTV, your man is supposed to be